As Taylor Swift would say, welcome to New York, everyone. We are mere blocks away from what I believe to be the epicenter of the next generation of crypto growth. That's BlackRock on the west side of Manhattan. Ben, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Really entertaining week. We didn't get the zkSync airdrop, which we're going to talk about. Very disappointing. I feel like they're leading us on, but I think it's soon. Other than that, interesting week. Prices are a little down, which we're going to get into, but feeling pretty good.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about the kitty guy, roaring kitty guy, a little bit too later.
Yeah, that was a saga. I'm sure most of the crypto market was tapped into that as well, but he lost about 300 million on Friday with his YouTube live, which was, I don't know what else to call it. It was a shit show.
It was a shit show.
It was pretty interesting. So we'll get into that. But I think, like usual, we're gonna start off with the markets.
Yeah. What's up first?
Yeah. So we're gonna start with Bitcoin. But as promised last week, we're gonna have some trader takes on here. So the main trader, that technical analysis trader that I follow and you follow as well, we're gonna give his takes because kind of his little squiggles on the chart did play out this past week, so he has a pretty good grasp on the market, I think. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, Steven Cesaro, right?
Yeah.
He's the unofficial trader of Internet Capital. He does not know that yet, but we both follow him and believe he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, shout out Stephen, good guy. Give him a follow. We'll link it down below in the description. But without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna share my screen here. So Bitcoin is sitting at about $69,000. We were trading around 71,000 whenever Roaring Kitty had his live stream on Friday. But GME tanked after that due to his antics, and so did the rest of the crypto markets. So this is kind of what we're dealing with here today. Any initial thoughts on what you're seeing out of the chart?
No, I think there's a lot of anticipation by everyone about what's going to happen next. And I think when you're done, I got some more macroscopic thoughts on what's going on here. But I think it's worth just continuing on each individual asset at this point.
Yeah, so I would say we were having a strong week at the beginning, driven by institutional ETF Bitcoin flows, which were really strong earlier in the week. I think we had the second largest daily inflows since the ETFs were launched.
Yes.
So that's a good sign. It's, a sign of increased and consistent institutional demand. So that was kind of driving the market upwards. People thought we were going to break out of this range, hit a new all-time high, and then continue up. But it looks like we're kind of in this holding pattern for a little bit still. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing that happened on Friday, I won't attribute the entire down market to Roaring Kitty. It was U.S. employment data, which came in stronger than it was expected. It's something like 120,000 more jobs than economists predicted. So that kind of tempered the market's positivity on how soon interest rate cuts will be. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so there's sort of, I don't know if this is a silver lining or a black lining, but not, the number of new jobs went up, but the unemployment rate also went up. It hit 4% again for the first time in a long time, I think. So there is some mixed feelings about what that means, particularly in the context of the Canadian Central Bank and the European Central Bank both cutting rates about 0.25% last week, which did fuel some optimism that might come to the U.S. at least before the jobs report.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing here to note also is that the delay in interest rate cuts is actually bullish over a longer period of time. I think for the crypto market, if this just keeps getting pushed out, we extend the cycle. And I think that's on net a good thing because it'll align with these other catalysts like the ETH TA. It gives us some time to get retail back in about the technology. And we're going to go over Coinbase Smart Wallet, which I think is a huge catalyst on that front.
Agree.
In terms of retail adoption. But I think that's just the last point to note there.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's switch over to ETH, which ETH here is where we have Steven's price analysis. But just to start with our kind of qualitative look, we also are down on the week now after kind of that Friday move that brought the entire market down. And we're trading around 36.89 as we're filming the show on Saturday. And basically what happened is after the ETF approval news, everyone's been arguing about whether the demand will be there. And we kind of covered this in a previous episode, but that's all the discussion right now. I think ETH was repriced really rapidly because no one believed that would be approved then. So that move happened, and now that's the discussion, whether there's going to be demand. So that's kind of where we're sitting. Any thoughts on what you're seeing in ETH right now?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue forward in this range until we get some definite information about when the ETFs will start trading. There were rumors this week from a couple different sources that it would happen here in the next 2 or 3 weeks in June. But like I said, those were just rumors, and they're yet to be validated by anyone of consequence.
Yeah. I guess we're just going to have to see how it plays out. We gave our arguments for why we think there will be demand and our predictions for when the ETF will be launched. But time will tell, as always. And then I guess next up would be the Solana ETF, right? Or a BONK ETF, as Jim Cramer would say on Squawk Box.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the Squawk Box episode, but I don't know if that was a joke or Jim Cramer doesn't know at all about what's going on with this, or maybe he was yanking Gensler's chain. I don't know.
I'm not sure either, but the one thing to note there is that CNBC has gone full crypto bulls, and I just think it's hilarious because they're live streaming Roaring Kitty, which isn't crypto, but they're just diving full into kind of retail crypto trading, and it's kind of cool. So funny to see.
It's nice.
Yeah,
it's CNBC, the crypto national broadcasting company.
There you go.
They don't know that, but I just renamed them. That one's on me, boys.
Tell them. That's a clip.
That's a clip.
Clip that. But here we go. Get into Stephen's analysis here. So this is a tweet he posted beginning of the week. So this is before we were seeing kind of the bullish BTC ETF inflows, and we had signs of potentially breaking out. This was kind of his analysis here. So he says, as anticipated, possible generational ETH entry brewing here this summer. Bullish quarterly, monthly, weekly levels all in alignment. Bidding my face off below last week's low for 7,500 and beyond. So to get into kind of the charts here and what he's seeing, and he doesn't provide the full analysis here. We have that elsewhere, but I'll just kind of give you the overview. So on this first chart, this is monthly candle chart. So each candle represents 1 month of price action. The white ones are positive price movements. The blue ones are negative price movements. And the first thing you see here is last month we had an engulfing candlestick, which means that we had that big move down a couple months back, and then the next month's move retraced that entire candle and closed above it, so it engulfs the entire candle, and that's a really bullish signal to the upside on the monthly chart. So that's what he's referencing there. And this little blue box also, just to note, he's talking about a fair value gap here. So what a fair value gap is, you see the top wick of this candle right there, and then you see it's a 3-candle pattern. So you have the top wick of that one, it's high. You have the bottom wick of that one, and then the rest of the candle. The big candle in the middle kind of jumped, and there's a gap between those 2 wicks, which he highlights in blue. And the theory is that you're missing out on the fair value there. You skipped that area to trade in, so it's going to return there. So that's what he was looking for, and we got that move with the blue candle, and then exploded back up out of it. That's what he was looking at on the monthly level. And then we'll go to the weekly candle. Same exact thing here. So you see the same pattern, right? So you see the top wick, the bottom wick, and he said, he highlighted here, he anticipated a move into this zone, and this screenshot was taken, as I said at the beginning of the week. We got that move at the end of this week and are trading kind of in this blue zone right here. We'll see how low we go. And that's kind of the same pattern he was using there. And then move down to the daily candle chart here. So each candle is a day. We are kind of holding this trend line for a while. And this was kind of his rough little sketch of what was going to happen. And if you look at the ETH chart now, this is basically exactly what's happening. We're kind of down here right now. And he expects this is the fair value gap on the previous chart. We're going to trade in there for a bit and then expand back out. So if you want to learn more about kind of this trading philosophy and style, Stephen's the guy to follow. Really good. He's not always right, of course, but very informative. And I think that's just interesting insight to add to what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my very layman's term of all this is the price has to absorb all of the capital that's available, and the fair value gap is where it skips some capital. And when it goes down to tap these, once it taps them and they're complete, then it can pave the way for more upside.
100%, yeah. So I think that's some interesting context there as well. And the last note here, he said, if we get this set up, again, this is before this played out, it has the potential to be an incredible multi-month swing trade opportunity. You have quarterly, monthly, weekly levels all in alignment with a massive narrative tailwind, which we've mentioned with the ETF behind it. I concur here. I don't know that much about TA, but just to know that that's kind of playing out and it's looking good from that perspective as well as the qualitative side is good to know.
Absolutely.
Cool. So to kind of move forward out of this, we're going to talk about VanEck's ETH price prediction because I thought that was pretty cool. They kind of had a cop-out answer for the high and low, but just to give you an overview, their base case for Ethereum by 2030 is $22,000 US.
Yes.
Questions on that?
Yeah, so I think if you get more into this, this really excited me because their 22,000 US dollars was based on a classic financial model, which was free cash flow. They modeled what they thought the free cash flow would be from or to the Ethereum stakers in 2030 and came up with something like 22 or $66 billion. They discounted the multiplier on that because it would be more mature at that point, and that's where they came up with the $22,000 price point. All that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo, except to say those are the kind of metrics that Wall Street understands. We're not making anything up about ETH anymore. There's this much money going to the stakers. That is reflected in the Ethereum token, the Ethereum coin, and we can model that accurately now. And I think that's a very powerful narrative to move this closer to institutional and knowledgeable retail and finally retail investors.
Yeah, definitely agree with that take. If they can apply their traditional models to cryptocurrencies, to ETH, that's huge for them, and to get them to be able to understand it, because currently it's kind of nebulous. You don't know what's going on with them. These coins trade at weird valuations, and this really solidifies it for them. So I agree with that. The other thing, just to mention here, the multiple that they use on free cash flow in 2030 is just 30x, which is pretty reasonable. You see traditional tech companies trade above that a lot of the time. So I think that's extremely reasonable, and currently the multiple is 140x. So,
and think about something else here. When you buy ETH, you're buying a high-tech startup that is maybe a third to a quarter, a third to a half the way into its full cycle development narrative, and it's generating potentially $66 billion. That is the best tech startup in the history of the world. If that in fact does happen, even now, I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure they're throwing out billions and billions of dollars just to secure the network. And there's more networks being secured by Ethereum. So it's like buying a high-tech stock that pays a dividend.
Definitely. I think those analogies are really good to understand it from a traditional perspective. From a more crypto native perspective, and just a younger person, let's say, imagine the internet. Imagine if you could put a price on the internet. You needed a coin to use anything on the internet. What's the value? So
right.
It's hard to forecast that. And these multiples could increase because of this fact that it's a ginormous network. If Ethereum really does become an internet of value, let's say, and the internet's native financial system, and is really used to that extent, that I think that's even a premium on that free cash flow model like you would do for a normal company.
100%. 100%.
Okay, cool. So that was VanEck. Last thing we wanted to mention here, I'm just going to go to CoinGecko here for this. But in the middle of this week's crazy market, BNB, Binance Coin, hit an all-time high, which was pretty unexpected. I know you haven't been watching this closely, but what do you think?
I think coin go up.
Coin go up?
Coin go up, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know what BNB stood for until I asked you. So coin go up's a good thing.
Yeah, I think CZ actually started his 3-month prison sentence a few weeks back. So maybe it was just a move to spite the traditional authorities. Say, hey, this is crypto. See, we love CZ. He did a lot for the space.
Maybe he's in a white collar jail and there's a lot of rich people in there that are getting his tips and they're buying.
There it is. CZ is shilling BNB coin to his fellow convicts in jail. You heard it here first.
Heard it here first.
Not financial advice. Not real news. That's just my theory.
Right.
Okay. So that happened. That's the last interesting thing in markets. Last thing I wanted to ask here is, generally speaking with the market, where do you think we are in the cycle? This was a big conversation on Twitter this week. People are saying, we're in the first inning, we're in the 7th inning, we're this, we're that. What do you think?
I think we're moving towards a model that approaches the traditional stock market. There's this big assumption, and I see charts all the time, we're here, we're going to go here. Well, maybe the market has matured, and the market moves will no longer be exactly like they were in the past with both Bitcoin and ETH and altcoins. Maybe it's a more traditional model where you can have multi-year bear markets where all the fundamentals align for a long time. And, to double down on that take, I think it's no doubt we're in a bull market now. If we don't get interest rate cuts for another 6 to 9 months, that probably extends this crypto bull to whenever the interest rates start going back up, which could be many years from now. So I'm more a believer that we're early in the bull. I'm less of a believer that the current cycle will be at all related to the previous cycles in terms of what it will look like and its time scale.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. The one thing I would say is that I'm not super optimistic that we see crypto markets turn into the S&P 500 or the stock market in general. Because if you just look at the chart, it's by crypto standards, this is up only. It's up only for 15 years. And I think maybe crypto gets that way eventually because of this whole, we're printing a lot of dollars, there's a lot of liquidity in the system. Any asset with a relatively fixed supply that has utility, metals, gold, productive stocks are probably going to keep going up with minimal downside. And I think that's true. But I just think it might be overly optimistic at this point to think we don't see another 60% drawdown in the majors.
Yeah, I think, for context, I was investing in 2008 on this chart and in 2017 and in 2020, where those drops there were seven-figure drops. So those weren't 30, 40, 50, 60% drops, but they were 20, 25% drops. Maybe crypto's still going to have larger drops than that. I think maybe some altcoins are going to have 70, 80, 90% drops. I'm anticipating, though, the core, well-known, widely held, institutionally held, retail held assets will be more like the S&P 500 chart than past crypto charts. That's just my take on it.
Fair enough. Time will tell.
Yes.
I hope so for the sake of my bags. I'd like them not to go down 80% again, but we shall see.
We shall see.
The other thing I'll say about this crypto bull cycle and where I think we are is that we're relatively early. I like the Vance Spencer tweet that said, by the way, crypto bull market doesn't start until interest rate cuts start. And that's
100% agree with that.
100% agree as well. Definitely true. So I think we're somewhere in the middle. It is different, as you said, though. The two things I will mention is that, one, interest rates. Two, is that we've had no endogenous crypto catalyst for the market to explode yet. Because in previous cycles, we had ICOs. I wasn't around for those. Then we had DeFi summer. Now it was really just crypto natives setting off a bull market, and then retail came in. Now this entire thing has been catalyzed by institutions. We haven't even gotten retail back. And I think once we get that catalyst, you're really going to know the bull market's back. And that's when you'll see the total 3 altcoin chart recover.
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling to me that the biggest financial institutions in the world are embracing crypto, yet the market has not seen that. And I'll speculate that those financial institutions are way bigger than the retail degens of the last cycle. So we'll see, but that's the bet I'd make.
100% true, and that's why all of the altcoins against ETH and Bitcoin have just been getting slaughtered. If you look at even like L2 coin charts, which are relatively new, those should be riding the coattails of this new L2 narrative, the Ethereum roadmap. They're not. Arbitrum just hit an all-time low against ETH, and that just continues and continues. So I think we do get retail back at some point, but you're right. Driving force right now is 100% institutional money, and that's what you should be paying attention to. And that's why ETH flows for the ETF and the demand for it is so important to the market.
Yes, yeah. I agree with that.
Cool. Well, I think that was good for the market section.
Yeah.
I think we provided some good insights there. And the first topic that we want to get into today, and I mentioned this earlier, is Coinbase Smart Wallets. So they announced the launch of this product just this week. And here's what they say, this first kind of description here. Coinbase's smart wallets kick off the next chapter for Coinbase Wallet, revolutionizing the on-chain experience by simplifying onboarding, eliminating network fees, and removing recovery phrases. It provides seamless gasless transactions and cross-app portability, aiming to bring more than 1 billion users on-chain. And the things to know about the wallet that I thought are interesting is, one, that you can use passkeys on your phone, like Face ID, biometrics, like your finger or your Google account, to create and manage wallets, which is a huge unlock. To have regular users have to manage private keys to use any of these apps is untenable. And I think that's the single biggest advancement that's made here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 100%. The whole idea of, like, for me, I had no idea what a seed phrase was, but I knew what a passkey was. It's my finger, it's my Face ID, it's whatever. And it's one seemingly small step that takes one barrier away from the normal user being able to easily use crypto. And, we're going to continue to talk about this, but Coinbase is systematically building an on-ramp from their centralized exchange to Base and to the super chain. So their model is, I think, smart, and I think they're executing it very well. The other thing that's part of this, you may have mentioned already, but there's the ability now for the apps to pay for transaction fees. And on the L2 chains, that makes a lot of sense because the fees are cheap. And what hit me there was that is essentially duplicating the model of using a credit card. When I go to the store and I buy a pair of jeans, I don't have to pay a transaction fee if I use my credit card. The store pays that fee and builds it into the price, but I don't really know that. I just swipe my card, it's free, magic happens, and I get my pair of pants. This is what some of this new technology that's built into this smart wallet enables, so that the stores, the apps, can pay for fees to make it seamless and a more traditional purchasing or buying experience.
100%. The one thing that comes to mind when you say that is that whenever it's really annoying to have transactions fail whenever you're using an L2, right? So you make a transaction, for some reason the gas fee spikes, and if you're a new user, you're like, what happened? Why did it fail? And usually you have to adjust your gas limit, and that's untenable. No one's going to be able to do that. And the right solution is for the developer team, the app, to handle that. And that's how Web 2 works. Sometimes you'll hit enter on a credit card payment, and something with the server will mess up, and it'll say, failed, please retry. You refresh your browser, you hit submit again, and it changes and works. The onus is on the app and the developers instead of the user, and this is a big step in doing that. So I think that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I trust Coinbase's ability to roll this out widely. One of the apps I use a lot, magic happened and a button appears that was generate smart wallet through Coinbase. I didn't click that yet because I didn't know what would happen, but clearly they have prepared the apps in their superchain ecosystem to be able to integrate with this easily.
100%. And the other big thing here, and I've mentioned this before, but it's the whole mobile aspect. Everyone's on their phones these days. People are on their phones for everything.
Yep.
So if you can start using these apps on your phone, like I opened a trade on Quenta. I'm margin trading something, I'm trading perps, and I can't check it on my phone, which is really annoying. You have to whip out your computer, connect your ledger, whatever it is, and go from there. And normal people aren't going to overcome that activation energy to use these apps if that's the case. So I think that's huge, and they're making developments there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the same thing. It's like I think of something I want to do, or I see the price spike to a level I want to do a buy or sell trade at, and I can't do it on my phone because I use a hardware wallet.
Yep. That's a huge pain point right now, and they're well on their way to solving that. So I think this is a really interesting development, and this could be the spark that we need to get more retail on. If they can just, in their Coinbase app, retail is trading whatever, they want to buy some Doge, and then they can just download the Coinbase wallet and start using DeFi all on the same platform, that's ginormous.
Absolutely.
So bullish on Coinbase, bullish on Optimism, bullish on Base, bullish on the whole super chain. We love the ecosystem. Mode's part of that. We love Mode.
Yep.
So that's first thing there. I think the last thing to note here is that, let's see, there was kind of a more technical descriptor of this product as well. I'll pull up the tweet. But basically, they go over the standards that were used to facilitate this. So it's kind of Ethereum standard for account abstraction, which is EIP 4337. And the one thing that I wanted to note is that there is a standard for tracking how many people are using passkeys for their wallet signatures. So we're going to be able to see that on chain through this Doom dashboard, and that gives a really good proxy for how many people in Coinbase's retail market is using this product and getting on chain. So this is a close thing to watch.
Let me ask this, Ben. Are these standards, passed and part of the main chain, or what does it mean it's a Ethereum standard?
Ethereum improvement proposals are official upgrades that are intended to be implemented into the core Ethereum protocol. So for this passkey one specifically, I actually don't know this for a fact, but just using context clues, it's called RIP 7212. So I assume this was a proposed Ethereum improvement proposal that was kind of rejected by the community and is now can be implemented on L2s with their own EVMs and virtual machines. Okay. So they can implement it there. So this won't be part of the Ethereum core protocol, but EIPs that are passed and implemented are.
So is this Coinbase building a walled garden of ease of use?
You're not supposed to use that word in crypto. Well, it's not walled garden because it's interoperable. They're not trapping people within the ecosystem.
Gotcha.
And that's usually has a negative connotation within software. So like if you have a company, you want to create a moat and create a walled garden where everything can happen. The ethos of crypto is the opposite. The one thing I will say is that, of course, they have a duty to their shareholders. They're a public company. They want to keep people within their ecosystem. So they're going to do the best they can there.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, I think that implementing something like this is very powerful from a business perspective and to draw users in.
100%. And I think Brian Armstrong does a good job of this. Obviously, they're a publicly traded company. He has a duty to shareholders, maximize profits, all of that. At the same time, he does hold that core crypto ethos to decentralize the power, to make open systems that people can freely join and leave and interoperate with each other. And he realizes that as a long-term vision for crypto. I've even heard him say that companies aren't built, designed, meant to last forever. And I've heard him say that, which is pretty impressive from a publicly traded company. So I think that speaks to Brian Armstrong's character and his alignment with the crypto ethos in general.
Okay, makes sense.
Fair enough. So any last thoughts on Coinbase here?
No, I think I hit all the points I wanted to talk about. I'm excited, though. I think we're moving into talking about, help me out, RobinHood.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll bring that up. So,
Okay.
Big news here. I don't have a link. Let's just Google this.
Okay.
So, RobinHood acquires Bitstamp. So, RobinHood obviously is a fintech company, a trading platform here in the United States, and they exploded back in 2020 with the meme stock frenzy. A lot of people were trading for there. They had a key role in the GameStop saga with Roaring Kitty back in the day because they halted trading on the platform, and that kind of screwed a lot of people over. So, whole thing there, but it turns out they acquired Bitstamp and seem to be going full crypto bull. So they agreed to buy Bitstamp, a UK-based crypto exchange, for $200 million in an all-cash deal. And this is interesting because just last month they received a Wells notice from the SEC saying that they were going to receive enforcement action. So in the face of that, they say, we're doubling down, we're going full crypto bull. This is what we're doing. So I think that's really interesting, and this was big news.
Absolutely. Kind of in a macroscopic sense, I was thinking about Robinhood versus Coinbase, and where it seems Coinbase is taking the centralized exchange in crypto and pushing towards getting retail investors online. Robinhood had a traditional stock exchange and basically is expanding to also include crypto assets in that with this acquisition. They're becoming the one-stop shop to buy any asset you want. And add to that, I believe, the Arbitrum partnership. They're also going to have the ability to push users, probably to a lesser extent, but push users on-chain. So between Coinbase and Robinhood, which, just for full disclosure, I own both, I think we're seeing some really, really good strategies here to broaden the appeal of crypto to the retail user.
Yeah, the more access to crypto, the better. And I think this is huge. The one thing that this does do also is effectively makes Bitstamp a public company in the United States. Robinhood is public. They acquire them. That's another crypto exchange that is public in the United States effectively. So that's very interesting. It'll be really cool to see how this plays out. And I do think they are really well positioned, the best positioned of anyone here, at least, to compete with Coinbase on the getting users on-chain front. I'm not sure what Kraken is doing in this respect, and they're the second largest centralized exchange in the United States, generally speaking, but it seems that Robinhood is really well positioned. So this is an interesting development to keep your eye on.
I'm going to just throw something out there. Kraken and Consensus team up to try and duplicate what Coinbase has done. Consensus is Linnea and MetaMask and some other smaller ones, but they have a ton of money to build out an ecosystem. Kraken can't be left behind. So I just thoughts swirling around in my head that would make an interesting partnership to kind of level up both of those two.
You should do strategy for some of these guys. That's a good call there.
Absolutely. Well, leave a comment, and I'm happy to get back to you.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a good call. Definitely an interesting space to check out. And I think just to kind of tie back together what we've been talking about, we're seeing movement on the retail front too. Retail has been dormant. We're saying this cycle has started as an institutionally driven cycle. Retail is not back. This is the beginning signs that retail is coming back because we're building for them to come back.
Yeah, we're building the infrastructure to get retail online easy. And not to get the degens, it's to get grandma and grandpa, mom and pop, the 25-year-old that doesn't work in finance involved in crypto.
100%. That's the end goal. I do think the degens come first, though, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I think about my friends, right? Most of my friends, they sports bet, they gamble. People like to gamble.
Yep.
That's just a fact. You look at the numbers in America, it's going way up. And if that's a bootstrapping mechanism for getting people on this technology, and eventually they learn, hey, you can keep money on chain, you can do interesting financial things in terms of collateralizing your assets and borrowing against them for better interest rates to pay off certain loans, whatever it is, that's great. I just think at the beginning, that's kind of the speculation driving the adoption, and that's fine as well.
All right. Absolutely. Let's go.
Cool. Third thing here is very sad. Let's see. zkSync airdrop blunder. So we had
blunder. I like that blunder.
Yeah, we had a couple interesting articles here. We'll look at these, but we received news from the block about a week and a half ago saying that the zkSync airdrop checker would be announced that week imminently, and that did not happen. So we were like, surely this week would be the week.
Surely.
Nothing. And some of the founders, some of the head of growth at Matter Labs, which is developing zkSync, were posting memes all week, really hyping it up. So I thought it was coming. Apparently not. It's got to be next week, though, right?
It's got to be next week.
Got to be next week?
Got to be next. They can't keep putting these tweets out teasing us, and then, it's like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they're giving us free money, effectively. They're a good team. They're doing good things, but it has been a long time. I hope for the best. I hope they have something great in store, really interesting tokenomics, governance models, programs that they can do. So I guess we'll wait and see, and we're going to have to get back to you next week. I thought this was going to be a main topic, but I guess not.
We'll talk about it more next week.
That's fine. Just look at these headlines here real quick, too. zkSync planned 2 weeks ago. There's the blog post I was talking about. zkSync airdrop could be valued higher than the entire network's TVL, which is very interesting, and I think that's possible. I think that happened with StarkNet as well, but we'll have to see.
Wow, you used that word.
What?
StarkNet.
Yeah.
Don't they have 8 users now?
I have no idea. That's a good thing to check on for sure. Okay. So that was the last topic that we were going to go over, but we have some other news that we wanted to go over, and I'll start with the first one. This is crypto adjacent, and there's some rumors swirling around that you can talk about if you want, but BlackRock and Citadel are launching a national stock exchange in Texas that is scheduled to go live in 2025, I believe.
Yes. They're going to go live in 2025 with trading of existing securities. 2026 they'll have their first, I guess, new listing. So it's imminent.
And I think this is really interesting that it's coming from BlackRock and Citadel. You have to think about what is their incentive for doing this, and a lot of it is, as the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, said, there's a lot of red tape in New York and things that you can't do that they're going to allow in Texas. So I think that's really interesting, and there's a lot of speculation that crypto is a part of this, because on the heels of BlackRock becoming, and Larry Fink becoming crypto mega bulls, it's very possible.
Yeah, can you pull up Abbott's tweet while I talk about this? Because I have a theory here. If you're going to start a new stock exchange in a place that regulation is less, I would think that you would want to build from the ground up the newest technology. Now, it's been rumored all over the internet that they're going to tokenize this exchange, and to me, that makes perfect sense. You actually have how often do you have a clean slate in finance to start something new? This is that example. You're not bound by the existing rules on how you do settlements and how you do X, Y, and Z. It would be completely transparent. It'll be much less volume. BlackRock and Citadel can control who gets listed initially. So I'm excited. I think that there's a good shot. Just my intuition is a good shot that they will tokenize this exchange. And maybe that's the first step towards tokenizing all real world assets. Ben, you have the tweet up here. I think Abbott had a great line somewhere in here that I wanted to read if we can find it. Maybe this isn't going to work. I should have done
Something to do
this.
with capitalism?
Yeah, something to do with something to do with capitalism.
I don't know. I spelled it. That's why. Don't see it.
All right, we'll cut this part out.
He said in this tweet, though. No, we don't have to cut it out.
Okay.
He said a place where the only agenda is capitalism is.
Oh, yeah, that was it. The only agenda is capitalism.
I like that.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. So we'll see. Texas, growing financial hub, very crypto friendly. Interesting development to keep your eye on, I would say. So next is GameStop. Roaring Kitty is back. And I'm going to pull up the video here real quick.
This is cringeworthy, I think would be the word.
It was quite interesting. Me too. People thought he was going to come onto the live stream and give his big plan for what they're doing, and he was going to sound intelligent. Really, he just seemed like he was kind of on drugs and going a little crazy, so people were disappointed. But I'll just show you guys the beginning here.
I will say he has very good production value for his intros.
He does. We might have to clip this in, but this is how he started. We showed up. And the first thing I've shown is this montage that's kind of cute of these kitty videos.
Yeah, over and over and over.
Yeah, and then
but very well produced kitty videos.
Very well produced. And then he shows a disclaimer here, and then he comes on looking like this.
Is that his real hair?
I don't know.
Or did he do like Katy Perry wig thing going on here?
I don't know.
And isn't he moaning at this point?
Yeah.
With his arm in a sling.
He's making some weird noises for sure. So this was really interesting, and it's crazy because he had, I believe he ended up losing $300 million on GameStop throughout this stream, but he was within 5% of being a billionaire based on his positions, which if people didn't know, he bought $20 million in GameStop call options and some common stock as well. And people were, I think it was with more money than that, but people were wondering how he got all this money. He revealed his positions on this live stream, and then so people could just watch and calculate how much money he was losing on the stream. And GameStop went from $34 here, and it was previously 40 plus in the previous couple of days, down to low 20s. Yeah, so he's back, and this is just an interesting development to keep your eye on. Crypto adjacent. I think a lot of people participating in this also are likely to be interested in crypto. So, any thoughts?
No, I have absolutely no thoughts on this.
Yeah, that was interesting. Last thing here that I did see this week, and you can bring up anything else if you have it, is a new L2 within the Superchain ecosystem. As we said, we're bullish. But it says, I haven't looked into it, but they are a banking layer for the Optimism Superchain. So I have to look into what this means, but if there's some kind of fintech integration with I think it's the Metal Company, there's an actual company, where you could connect a bank account to this L2, and there's really close interoperability with that, I think that would be interesting.
Like, I could transfer from my bank account directly to my wallet, for example.
And yes, there are banks that do this already, actually.
Wow.
Like, Juno is one. I think they actually suffered an exploit recently. I didn't have much money in there. But that is a thing that exists. And if you get that really close interoperability with an L2 ecosystem, that could be very interesting. So I just wanted to bring this up, bring that to your attention. Yeah. I think it'd be a very cool product.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah. So anything else you wanted to...
Yeah, I want to just thank all the people. So I'm a big Discord user, and there's a lot of people in Discord that have really helped me in the past 3 months. And I want to quickly throw out a thanks to, and I got to read this, all my guys on Ironclad, the Honest Work Discord, Zeroland, Ionic, and Mode includes 0x Ginger, John, 0x1337, Jayco, Kaji, Candy Factory, Fire Go-Go, Brick Frog, my Turkish friend BJK, Landlord, Penguinaire, River Octopus, Janitor Noah, Salmon K, Dean Toshi, Riker, Mo Key, Lanky, Crypto Trader, Landlord, Rossmac, Cryptodial, and more that I'm sure I forgot. I just want to give you guys a big shout out. Thank you for helping me answering all my kind of silly newbie questions. I do appreciate it. And just wanted to say thank you.
That was very nice.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you and your internet friends are hanging out. You get to thank them on the platform.
Absolutely.
So that's great.
You know, one of the most interesting things I found out, one of my friends lives in Singapore, and I asked him if it really costs like $1,000 a year to license your dog. The answer is it doesn't. It's about $37 a year for your dog license.
Really?
But how much do you think it costs to have a 10-year right to own a car?
No idea.
$100,000 just to the right to own it. You got to pay for the car too.
Really?
It's crazy. Crazy.
Why is that? Is there...
I don't know why. The other thing I found out from I think my friend Ginger is from the Netherlands or somewhere in Europe. A fixed 37% tax rate on all capital gains, no matter how much you make, no matter how much the gains are.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So everyone in the U.S. needs to be very thankful that we are here. And kind of the last point on all this international stuff in a discussion on the Honest Work Discord, a couple of people were talking about innovation, and these guys don't live in the U.S. and they said the only place you can truly do innovation is in either the U.S. or in China. They said in the U.S. we tend to let people do everything until it blows up, then we regulate it. Everywhere else it's heavily regulated, which tends to stymie things from happening. Even if there's no known bad thing that happened, it's going to be regulated anyway. So we should be all very thankful we're here in the good old USA.
Well, I think so, and I think that's just a good thing to keep top of mind. That's what makes a country great. That's what made it great historically. And times change and things change, and that might not always be the case. So you can't take it for granted. You have to hopefully participate, make your voice known as loud as you can, that this technology, crypto, and other technologies are meant to be developed here, and people should have the freedom to do that without the fear of being prosecuted, come after by regulatory authorities, fined, jailed, all of these things. So I think that the crypto community's done a great job of that, and that's just a really good thing to remember also.
Absolutely. To close out on a light note, we still have not heard from Fred Kreuger or Satoshi on the boxing match. Those offers are still open. I don't know what's going on there. But I need some time to prepare. I need to practice
Try one.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's pretty good.
I'm ready, babe.
Yeah.
But I need to get my stamina built up. Yeah, up here.
Yeah.
Up here. No blows the face.
Yep.
I got some stuff here I can handle the blow, but not up here, baby.
Need some
Protect the
cardio.
face.
Need some cardio.
I need some
right?
cardio. I need some cardio.
We'll do a Rocky montage.
Let's go to Philly.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
So stay tuned. We'll see. Maybe you see the Grand Tonto training. Fred Kreuger, we're directly calling you out. I think you're scared to fight the Grand Tonto.
Yeah.
To be
We're the
honest.
same age group.
Yeah, come on.
Let's go.
I think it'd be great. ETH versus non-ETH guy. So
Exactly.
that'd be great. But last thing, thanks for listening. We're going to put out some more videos. Follow the Twitter. I'm going to link that down below. Internet Capita _ Internet Capital was not available. Follow the Grand Tonto on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube, like, share with a friend. We really appreciate it, and it's been a fun one.
Absolutely. It's been great.
Cool.
See you all next week.